Welcome to the East End of London. Not very Vegas, but very real. Up front, in your face, lively. There's a game going down here tonight, a very special game of poker. It's private, very private, no room for muppets. Now we've seen these faces winning world championships, test matches and gold medals. But can they cope with real pressure when there's notes in front of them and cards in their hands? This will sort out the men from the boys. Spontoolies on the table, I'm talking readies, and one of them gets the lot. This is poker how it's meant to be played. This is the real deal.
It's the last heat in our Sports Stars Challenge, and tonight it's the turn of the footballers. Skill, control, flair, they'll need to bring all those qualities from the pitch onto this new playing surface. In this match, notes of 50s will be the goal. Let's see who's in tonight.
He's just led Leyton Orient in the League One, so he's on a bit of a roll, this geezer. He takes a penalty cool as a cucumber, so bluffing for thousands ain't gonna ruffle him. It's C1. It's Matt Lockwood. He's pulled on the shirt of Chelsea and Newcastle, and now this Frenchman has said bonjour to playing cards. Will it be Fantastique or Le Bleu? In seat 5, Laurent Charvet. Now, down by the seaside, kicking the ball about for the Shrimpers, this bloke's also turned out on the park for Man City, Derby and Leicester. In seat 4, it's Spencer Pryor. This ex-Republic of Ireland international is now a regular on the poker circuit. He's used to playing with the big boys at cards, and he'll be the one the others want to avoid getting in a tackle with. In seat 3, it's Tony Cascarino. This former Sheffield United and Brentford footballer will be looking to dummy his opponents and score the biggest pots. He's been partial to the odd game of cards on the bus, so watch out for seat 2, Andy Scott. Played for Charlton back in the days when 11 football had a lace in it. Can he still put one in the back of the net, or will he be off for an early bowl? In seat 1, it's Mike Flanagan. It's a new playing surface for these boys, but you still need to tackle your opponent and show skills that'll leave them in your wake. Cash is the goal in this match, lots of it.
6 players, 1 goal to win the football heat of the Sports Stars Challenge. 3 strikers and 3 defenders of varying vintages assembled, all to try and score the top prize of £6,000.
And all perhaps a little concerned about the so-called professional poker player at the table, who's just passed his cards, Tony Cascarino, obviously been in the commentary box here, but as very much a sort of seasoned player at the game.
Come on, get it all in, lads. That's what it's about.
Leyton Orient calling with a nice 5-6 suited.
Andy Scott's picked up an ace as well. A couple of aces, and this first hand,
9, 8.
no one really hits too much on the flop. Mike's got a pair of 4s.
You can check first, Mike.
Sorry.
No, you don't have to bet, you can check. It means just check the bet.
Just set the table and check.
Check. Check.
Check.
Check.
40.
40.
Pass.
Pass.
That bet constitutes twice the big blind at this first round of betting.
A credible bluff with the possibilities of nothing out there, and also a 7 to make a straight. And Matty Lockwood takes down the first hand.
Let's have a look at the ranking of the hands. At the bottom of the ranking is the high card only. Higher than that is 1 pair, then 2 pairs. Then 3 of a kind, also known as a set. Next up, a straight. That's 5 cards in a row of any suit. Better than this is a flush, 5 cards of the same suit in any order. A full house is 3 of a kind plus a pair. 4 of a kind, of course, is self-explanatory. Looking for that straight flush through is 5 cards in a row, all of the same suit. And a royal flush is top of the pops. A straight flush, ace high.
Interesting situation for
Pass.
the gentleman there in the middle, Tony
Pass.
Cascarino.
60.
Has
Raise to
possibility
60
of having
total.
a couple of
Pass.
inexperienced players to his left that hopefully
Pass.
for him will be easy to beat up
Yeah.
when it comes to
Pass.
stealing their
Quick start.
blinds.
KG as.
Did say he was going to try and play the hands that he picked up anything very, very aggressively. Try and bully a few people out of this early stage.
All the players fill out a questionnaire beforehand, and that doesn't mean beating up a doorman.
Sorry.
And Tony Cascarino's hobbies are golf, poker, and poker.
He also said, when you were younger,
Pass.
what did you want to be? He said, I
Pass.
wanted to be a postman to keep me off the streets.
He's found another hobby now.
Call.
Cool.
Call. Any raise?
Pass.
No raise.
check.
We're going to
You can
check.
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 You- Don't worry, Mike, you keep the cards. They might come in useful in a minute.
Mike Flanagan, the
novice, I would imagine, at the but
good player in his day, striker with Charlton and Derby.
9, 7, 7. Check.
I used to watch him down at Charlton
Check.
Check.
before I turned my attentions to snooker. I don't think I was there when he had the fight, but I saw him. I think it was either him or Derek Hales. Actually, I saw
5.
once punch a goal in,
Check.
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 and it stood. That was a long time ago, before it became the order of the day.
Yeah,
40.
an inspiration for Diego Maradona.
Spencer Pryor betting out with bottom pair. He's going to know where he stands.
Call.
Charvet
Pass.
calls with
Pass.
open-ended
Pass.
straight draw. Although neither of those really know if there's a possible for a full house out there. Would be unlikely in some ways.
5 would be a nice draw for Spencer.
9.
Well, that particular card doesn't help Spencer at all. It's actually negated his pair
40.
of 5s. And now, effectively, it's a split pot. Although whether it becomes a split
Pass.
pot is another matter. And that bet of Spencer's, whether he knew it or not, was very nicely timed.
Smile of relief on Spencer's face as he picks up his first hand. Now he's the new leader with 1,050. No real moves yet in the very early stages.
I give you the first one.
All right, I can read the next one. Yeah.
Well, they're not table footballers, but they are footballers sitting around the table, and all of them have had bits and pieces early on. Some of them have managed to capitalise, some of them haven't quite as yet. Mike, Queen 6
Call.
suited, decides to call.
Raise.
Raise.
Andy's best hand so far, and he's raising pre-flop. First time we've seen that from him.
To 80 total.
Nice position
Pass.
to raise in with a person already
Pass.
calling. Makes a
Pass.
sizable pot, or a building of a sizable pot.
Pass.
It'll be interesting to see now whether Mike Flanagan calls the extra amount of money or
Pass.
decides to respect the raise and done the right thing there. He would have been in a lot of trouble had a queen come down on the flop. Nothing wrong with that. A bit speculative from first position, calling with Queen 6 suited. And perhaps a common mistake of newcomers to the game is putting too much emphasis on the fact that the cards are suited. It doesn't really come that much into the equation. You very rarely get 3
Sorry.
of the same suit come down on the flop, and sometimes you're not allowed from the size of the bets to put in any more money to try and hit your card should even 2 of them come down. Andy Scott's picked up back-to-back hands. That's always nice. First to speak,
Call.
and he calls in first position with ace-king, which is very deceptive. Or is it deceiving, Jim, as a commentator? I've always get it wrong.
Call.
It's one or the other.
It's a deceptive
Pass.
play, I think, isn't it?
I'm of the GCSE
Cool.
generation.
So am I.
And
So from that point of
No
view,
raise?
who knows?
I'm not sure.
Didn't matter. As long as,
matter
I
about that.
as long as I spelt it right, didn't matter. Interesting that Tony, respected what Andy did there. He had an ace
7,
with a low
7,
pickup, got rid of it.
Check.
And so did Laurent Charvet as well, I think. Matty Lockwood has picked up trip 7s.
80.
80.
And the ace king looks not so attractive
Pass.
now, but he's come out betting. What will Matty Lockwood do? Have these two lads played together before? Surely a call would be quite a nice thing to do here, even though there's 2 spades on board.
I'm going to raise.
He's decided
Raise.
to be a little bit more aggressive. It could scare off his opponent. I'm
300.
assuming obviously that
300
Mike Flanagan
total.
realises he's dead in the water with a jack 5,
Call.
Pass.
Pass. 220 if you wish to call.
and that's got to be folded now. The call would have been interesting. Would Andy Scott have fired again? Have these lads played? He's got to get rid of it.
Pass.
He must respect Matty Lockwood's abilities at the game. Andy Scott did put down in his questionnaire best poker achievement was taking money off of Matty Lockwood on a regular basis. Well, if that's true, he will know that Matty Lockwood is a decent player as well.
If it's true, he's a decent player himself.
You know, after the game.
Yeah, no, he knows what I had.
No, but after the game,
No,
because
it's not
he.
yours.
Oh, was it after
Yeah, yeah,
moved on
yeah.
again? So he knows what I had. Interesting, if
He's not happy at all.
Obviously, Andy Scott didn't raise pre-flop, so I wasn't sure that he had big cards. So perhaps Matty Lockwood did the right thing by raising himself. There was the possibility that Andy Scott could have had another 7. Tony
Pass.
Cascarino with
Pass.
suited connectors. He can
Pass.
get in cheaply. He will. Mike
Call.
Flanagan with the
No
ugly-looking
raise.
King 7, but it's not to say it can't come good. Tony Cascarino hoping
4,
to see
7.
something connecting his
Wait.
connectors. He just can't
Check.
Check.
connect at the moment.
Check.
30.
30.
Small bet from Tony. He's got the 4, obviously, a pair of 4s, but then over here Mike's hit middle pair with his 7s.
Go 30.
And that
Call.
will be a worry for
Pass.
Tony Cascarino. Worry, I can't say it. It's Mike to
8.
act first. Will he check again?
I'll check.
Check.
Yeah, go on.
And Tony Cascarino quite
Both
rightly
checked.
smells danger.
Oh,
6.
he's hit perfectly, Tony. That 6 was exactly what he wanted, and he's got the 8 straight. Now, Mike, possibly in a
Mike
spot
to
of
speak
bother.
first. And he's decided to bet out.
40.
It would be understandable if he had a 5 as well. But Tony's going to have to find out where he stands here.
Raise.
Raised to 200 total. 160 to call.
And there's some money going to be thrown down the drain here,
Oh.
unfortunately.
Yeah, straight.
3. Nice one.
Right with King High. Passes his money
Tables,
round the
Queen
table.
Top behind the floor.
Good hand for Tony, and he takes the cash lead.
That shot straight.
Nice block. Nice straight.
Always need the cards as well, depending on how your skill is. Still getting that 6 when he needed it on the river was a delight for Tony, the new leader.
It's no surprises, it's Tony Cascarino who's pulled away from the pack. He's regarded as a semi-professional poker player nowadays, but you can't take anything for granted in cards. It's a footballer's nature to get stuck in and tackle their opponents, so watch out for the challenges.
Pass.
Pass.
It's going to be interesting to see
Raise.
if the favourite can convert.
Raise. 50 more.
What price do you
70
reckon he is,
total.
you know, as he expected? What price would you say he is, Jim?
4.
I would have said
Pass.
2 to 1 would have been a fair investment on Tony's
2 to 1.
chances of winning this.
2 to 1 with a 5 to 1 would be the average.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, fair enough.
think Matlock was the dark horse. Certainly in pre-tournament billing and what we've seen so far.
Cool.
Well, we haven't seen much of Laurent Charvet or Mike Flanagan really being involved in this game. Laurent Charvet has had a bet frequency of under 10%. So we really don't know what he's capable of. Obviously, if you don't get the cards, this is a cruel game. Tony Cascarino has hit gold dust here, but
I'll raise it.
We'll make it 50.
Mike Flanagan betting
Let's make it up.
2 pair. He's been checked
Cool.
in 2 places, so he doesn't really see too much danger.
Pass.
Matthew Lockwood very
Sure,
sensibly
revenge, Mike.
gets rid of his.
But I don't know, Tony. You might be sitting there with something.
I've definitely got something.
Okay, not just yet.
Sorry.
You're
Just
not,
put
can't
a money
bet
in
yet.
without seeing the next
Look
card.
at the next card.
That's a worry for everybody. Has he got a 10?
I'll check.
By the end of it.
And now Tony's worried.
No, I'll raise it.
I'll call it.
It's not a big enough bet to start scaring off the likes of Tony Cascarino. You'd have to make it a sizable investment to represent
Check.
those 10s.
Check.
Check.
Any
He
other
means
player
it.
would be racing with his hand, but
He doesn't know where he stands.
Yeah, done me.
I'll be raising with that hand. But
Oh, what's that, personal then?
no.
Favouritism.
It's very hard to tell, Mike. $100,000 in St Kitts in the Caribbean. Had some good finishes, made about 7-8 final tables. Play a lot of cash games. I've always felt I'm pretty disciplined. Even if I lose a hand, I bite my lip and carry on. And I don't go until, although I have, I don't do it very often. And I think sometimes I show the heart of a lion instead of a lamb. There's too many players, I think, who just fold too many hands, and I'll go with my gut feeling. If I'm wrong, but I can go out early as well because of that.
Well, Tony's got a good lead in this one, as you can see, 7, 15 hands so far. He's nearly £500 ahead. Mike with a bit of work to do, and Laurent yet to really get involved.
He said, thanks, he said, it was your first and your last cap. Because you played crap.
Oh, cool.
Call.
I see too much raising from Mike, I don't think. Spencer's going to get in cheaply.
No raise.
Laurent Charvet gets a chance to see some action anyway from the big blind.
Yeah, 99.9.
3, 7, 8.
Spencer
Check.
is handily placed by that
Check.
because he's got the 10 as well as the 9 that
Check.
everyone else has got, and so he's got the up and down shot. A jack or a 6 is what Spencer wants to see.
A 9 would be interesting. There's only 1 left.
6.
Ooh, Spencer's
Wow, that's worth checking. Or is it worth?
50 bet.
I suppose it would have been nice if somebody had a 4-5 as well, but
Well, Laurent,
Charvet
of course,
could well
is, because he's got the middle pin
Pass.
gut shot. But the way that he's been playing so far, that's not enough for him. Now, what's Mike with his ace? Nothing's come down. Does he think his ace is
Pass.
good enough?
Pass.
No.
well, in some ways he had roughly the right odds to call to see if he could hit the straight. He couldn't possibly have known that Spencer Oliver. Spencer Oliver. Spencer
Yeah.
had already made his straight.
I have a 9, but
Spencer Oliver, great boxer. Hadn't had a boxing heat next year.
Maybe.
it's coming.
Tough with the cards on though, to pick up the cards.
After when the blindies go up, you have to play.
Very frustrating.
quieting down,
frustrating
Marty?
day for Laurent
Catching
Charvet
up
so
on you, the
far.
late night?
I think there's a couple of them.
You're sleeping? No.
Who do you think's the most frustrated, Mike Flanagan
Yeah.
or Laurent Charvet?
Pass. Pass.
I think Laurent. I think he plays very tight. But still, notwithstanding that, hasn't
Call.
any ammunition at all. It's hard to
Me too.
remember him having
Call.
even half a hand that he
No.
could deal with. He's going to get involved with the Queen 8 suited.
Dominated by the King 9. Sort of a suited option. Part of the equation goes out of the window. Oh, two diamonds.
Jack
I thought there were two
5,
diamonds for a
3.
moment.
Mike's at his jacks, top pair.
Top pair. Well, he checked last time.
Check, check,
Check.
Checks
Check.
again.
and check. All checked.
Well, he's giving everybody the chance to hit better. There's a king and a queen out there waiting to be hit.
Oh, and there's the
There's
fourth diamond.
Diamonds and straight draws and everything. Come on. Get it in.
50.
Just
50
a 50.
bet.
Cool.
Matty's got a
50
call.
called.
Mike Flanagan should call. He does.
50
He's got
called.
an up and down straight
Pass on
draw as
that.
well.
And pass.
What's it going to be?
Now, 7 of diamonds comes down here. It's fantastic because Mike's hit his straight, the others have hit their flushes. Matt's obviously in the better position because he's got the king of Laurent's queen. Oh, it's a 7 of hearts, so Mike's hit his straight. Now, the other two know that they've ended up with nothing. Laurent first to call. Well, it's got to be a check, Laurent, surely.
Trying to talk himself into having a bet here, I think. Trying to look at the ball. It looks
Check.
a good ball.
Check.
And Mike's got a straight. How much? 100.
100 bet.
He's not going to get any action. That's the problem. The other lads have got absolutely nothing.
Pass.
Pass.
And pass.
But a nice pot there for Mike.
He's going to have it, Mike. Stop.
Yes.
Tell you what. Two in a, is it not two in a row?
Lovely.
Well, he's just about doubled up. He was down about 350 at one stage, up to 590 now. So he's in fact, there's confirmation. 280 he was at one stage. So he has more than doubled up from the worst scenario that he's found himself in. He's
Gamble an ace jack.
Yeah, no, but I just, the way he was contemplating it, I was thinking,
Well, I want to take a bet. It's better around an ace jack to go with him.
Tony Scotty, that, isn't it?
I don't know why you
I
put
look.
that.
I'll raise.
First time we've seen them.
I think you would.
Okay, 140 in total. Right.
120.
Sorry, 160 in total.
didn't.
Right, is one to
Big raise.
There's two stuck together then.
pass. 160 in total.
Pass,
Then
pass.
we're going to come in
Yeah,
with
I'm not confident.
Doesn't
Well,
look
that's a
like
great
it.
bluff. So,
Matt's not got a hand. Matt's not got a hand.
Pass.
He just have a ace 10, he's not happy now. He put too much.
Now he's praying for a caller.
Might pick up your kings.
Praying for King 6. What's he thinking about? Timing's everything. This could be a bad time. Well
Pass.
done.
Turn one of them over.
Tony unrewarded for the bullets.
Huh? You can turn any one of them over.
He's
Any
the
one.
same.
It's the same. Any one you want. It's the same. I didn't mean to race that much. They got stuck together. Two of them got stuck together. You see that on the telly? It wasn't a bad play. I raced too much.
The grief you've been giving everyone, Tony, I think.
We believe you.
There's some revenge coming round.
didn't want to save you off,
I
did
must
you?
admit, I wondered why such a big raise with such a premium
I didn't
hand.
put 120 and it was 160.
You do not want you want at least one customer, otherwise you feel cheated.
Thought it was 120 and it was
And two
160.
stuck together
So
thinking,
there
oh,
were
it's
50s,
120 I want to
yeah,
go.
50s.
There were two
No,
stuck
don't
together.
keep
What,
counting more.
240
Less.
There's a,
Fair
rule,
enough.
here's a little tip. Never pick your nose at the poker table. Makes the money stick
Pass.
together.
Call.
Oh, Lauren's got
Call.
pocket pair for the first time.
And pass.
Yeah, I wish I'd have done that.
Call.
The only thing a pair of
Pass.
twos is looking
And
for
option.
No, go on
is
fire
another
away.
two.
No
I'm
raise.
still gutted from the last one.
Otherwise you're beaten. But if you do hit that two, you can sometimes break an opponent.
Queen 8.
Tony sit top pair
40.
and
40 bet.
he's got two pairs obviously with the 8s as well.
Pass.
Charvet obligated to
Pass.
fold
Yeah, yeah, smaller bet and I get called. Can't bet smaller.
Must have stuck together.
Would you have three of?
This is the current state of play. Tony in the lead and he's still got one more hands than anybody else. Mike's now won 3 hands. Finds himself bottom of the pile and Lawrence
Is
still
there any
not
chance of
getting
getting
the
a little bit of
ammunition
food in here, Mark?
involved. Only play 5
We're not allowed
30
outside
hands
now.
we've seen.
Did you play with Halsey?
Halsey.
Yeah.
So it's been all quite
It was
tight,
quite good.
conservative poker so far. No
was that,
Keith
Gillingham?
side
Yeah,
going
Keith was
into
the
an
manager.
all-in.
A bit more interesting now.
Amongst these six,
Yeah,
who
looks
will
good.
survive 30 hands. Tony Cascarino is the current cash leader with 1750, so that's a 75% return on his initial £1,000 stake. The winner, of course, takes all £6 grand, and we're up to
No,
the third
I'm
level of
talking.
blinds. £30 and £60. These two, these 6 players racing through the first 2 levels. 15 hands in the level is a good end.
Yeah, pretty
Easy
much
decision.
respectful table. And the one thing that would please
Pass.
Tony Cascarino is
60.
it doesn't really
60
look,
to call.
from what we've seen so
Call.
far, that there is anybody capable around the
Call.
table of making a move. Nothing outrageous. We've seen some amazing moves
Call.
during this
Zeros.
series of celebrity heats. Some outrageous moves from the dart players. Some great moves from the rugby lads. But nobody looks capable. So that really does play into Tony Cascarino's hands.
2.
For the first time all day, Lawrence hit a hand, but I don't
Mike,
think
yeah.
he's going to get anyone to come in with him. Or is Mike with his...
Well, yeah, Mike
ace
likes.
high.
Mike likes to get involved a bit now. He likes the feel
60.
of it. Unfortunately, for the first time, he's run
minimum
into a
bet,
bit of a
Mike.
monster.
Sorry, it's all right.
And Charvet, if we know what we've seen, we'll
Pass.
just call this.
He's hit the trips, he knows he's in a wonderful position
I
next
call.
to the rookie around the
Call.
table, and you're absolutely right. Just a call.
And we've also seen Mike Flanagan fire again. In the excitement of the moment, he could be forgiven for thinking that
7.
it's worthwhile having another
Check.
bet. Well
Check.
done. Yep, that's okay. Does he check?
60.
60.
Small bet, little feeler bet. Maybe enough to keep a customer. We've seen a couple of people so far today thinking their ace is good enough, and that's what he's thinking.
Call.
An ace to hit on the river now would be a disaster in a sporting context, anyway.
Ace.
Oh dear.
Oh, Mike.
It's the go light. It's got to be worth 200, 100,
60.
tiddly 60.
Call.
Only
Call.
a call.
Aces and queens. He's got 70.
Lauren, you'd have thought would have come over the top there.
We have aces
Might
and queens.
well
win.
have come in with him.
Yeah, I think you've got the pot.
He put 17.
He put 17.
Yeah. 17, yeah.
Well, you get the pot anyway, but you have to turn
Oh,
back.
sorry.
Okay.
3 queens with the ace kicker. Well, it's Lauren's best hand so far, but
Should have
Could
got
it-
more money. Should have got more money out of the situation there.
He'd run out of tens.
Could have got more money.
You didn't like it, Lauren, did you? You weren't. You didn't like it. You didn't know where you were. Did you?
No, it's just because
It's
you
good
lose it.
start.
I don't want no one to be happy. You lose it. No, I have to respect. I'm Mr. Charvet, Laurent Charvet. I play for Chelsea, Newcastle and Manchester City in England. I start to play poker on the south of France and sometimes in Paris. And I do a lot of tournaments. And I played one big tournament in Monaco, the EPT. In my career on football, something helped me on the poker. It's about the competition before the game. The concentration when you play poker is the same.
The whistle's gone for half time and the oranges are out. We've still got 6 on the pitch. Who's going to be sent off down the tunnel first? No draws allowed in this game. There will only be one winner and he'll be £6 grand richer by the end of the night.
Losers make their own excuses, winners take the dough. One of these guys gets the glory of being the best in their sport at the poker table, plus a nice little earner of £6,000. The rest get nothing. Back to the table.
Oh dear.
Pass.
this is hand
Yes.
39. Some of the tournaments that we've seen so far have been all over inside
we have a
50,
call?
55 hands.
Sorry. Cool.
It's because of the speed of
Not a
play,
lot.
really, amongst these
Pass.
6 that the 39 hands have flown by and they're all still in. Blind structure hasn't really come into effect as much as it has in many of the other.
Didn't want you to make the same mistake.
No raise.
Concerned by it.
Big jump coming up in the blinds next time round. The blind structure starts at 10-20, 20-40, 30-60, and then the killer.
10, king,
50-100.
king, check. Check.
Andy Scott threw a king away.
All checked.
You can see it in your face, can't you?
Absolutely.
Looking around for a little bit of sympathy. Perhaps
have some from us.
Check.
You're lucky there.
Never mind.
Check.
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 All checked.
Pair of 10s for Spencer.
Check.
Just having a look at cheap cards at the moment with 2 pairs. In fact, obviously the
Check.
kings.
Check.
Spencer,
and 10s.
Check.
distraught that the jack
7
comes
eye.
down.
You're going to see mine next. No, see mine next. Look, 2, 4.
You got pairs. You got 2 pairs.
You've got 2 pairs.
You win,
Sorry.
right? That's why I don't want to bloody
You're
make a bet.
joking.
There's no money.
2 pair.
You have a 10.
You have
They
a
got
10,
10s.
so you actually beat this one.
I'm making a bet here.
So you have
Spencer Pryor
kings
threw his
with 10, so
cards
you
in
actually take
face
that.
down.
There you go. You didn't know you'd won that, had you?
I'm just staying in there just for the sake of it. Everyone's checking away.
My little 2's might have
He
nicked
did
it.
turn him over in the end.
Yeah, no, yeah.
He had to be shown that he'd won the
First
hand.
play.
So if you're not sure, let's just turn them over.
Okay.
The rules being slightly bent for the celebrity event we see ourselves in here. Mad Marty,
2 and a 4.
the tournament director,
Called
gives
the 50
everybody a
quid
team
for
talk
2-4.
beforehand. So as there's a few newcomers to the game,
Different,
some of the
wasn't it?
etiquette and some of the
2-4.
more intricate
I'm
rules
thinking
have
it's
been
called
See,
2-4.
don't
somewhat.
think about what
Yeah,
you've
things like
thrown
string
away.
betting, they turn a blind eye to it if it's
Bit of a call, that,
not
wasn't
out.
See them 2 keep hurting.
The common sense rule is being
Yeah.
applied in general, so
Pass.
don't get too uptight at home, you poker players who see a few misdemeanours going away. It's supposed to be a bit of fun as well. Only a few
Raise.
quid at stake, let's face it. It's only 26 grand to the winner
200
in total.
total. Pass.
That's just the
Peanuts
26
to footballers is peanuts.
Isn't that the truth?
140
Rather
to
win it
call.
than not win it though.
Pass.
Pass.
Make a dent in Wayne Rooney's debt.
We're all doing that ace thing, aren't we?
Andy hasn't had too many opportunities to get involved. He,
How much
along
we got?
with
How long
Lauren,
on the
have only
level?
played 9 hands.
Mike Flanagan's
About see me off.
very low now, 140. And he's the big blind. No, so he's big blind next go. That's going to be 60 of his 140. He's really got
Oh, yeah, don't.
to put the money all in one go, this or the next.
Pass.
And unfortunately, the inexperience of knowing that means you can
Pass.
be eaten away with the blinds, and it's happened to Mike. But he's had a bit of a run for his money.
160.
Raise
Bit of fun.
160.
Bet frequency of 35%, that's respectable.
Pass.
1-3 hands.
Pass. 100 to call.
We haven't met
Wood
yet.
with a nice little hand to get in there.
Cool.
Big blind.
Call.
Type of hand that you can do some damage with if the flop comes down nicely. Not up against much. Tony Cascarino from the small blind
8. 4.
hits a monster.
9.
Absolutely, because he's got the Queen of Hearts to go along with those 3 that have come
100.
down on the flop. He's got a
100.
pair of 9s
Cool.
as well.
Call.
Very quickly called. Matty won't like that. Very quick call there from Tony.
Yeah.
Could have perhaps given it a beat.
6.
Does Matty come out fine again if it's a check?
100.
100. Call.
And this is becoming expensive for Matty Lockwood here.
He's got an inside straight draw though. A 7 would make it interesting.
Although not the 7 of hearts.
Well, 7 of Hearts would make it very interesting, but it's not the card that he wants to see, unbeknown to him.
And now he's really got to check.
Check.
Pair 9s.
Done, mate.
Tony Cascarino taking no prisoners.
I guess you
but
had
also
the ace of hearts. I thought might have the ace of hearts and you had king of hearts.
keeping out of trouble as well, and
could have had that in your hand.
Very easily slips into quite a big lead.
Well, I was, but 2 overcards on it.
You see the green of Cascarino starting to dominate the table. The fine line of Mike Flanagan at the bottom.
Yeah, no.
Big hand this one for Mike. He's now
the only problem I could have had
seen the blinds coming around to him, and it's
that's why I sort of when the
well, he's having to invest nearly half of his stack to pay the big blind.
I thought I'd call you a cheeky little
more or less obligated. He's going to be putting in a quarter afterwards to put all his money in this go. It's his best chance now to pick up some extra money should he hit the hand.
Pass. Cool.
Spencer's got a nice-ish hand. So is Laurent Charvet, but he's not interested in anything that's not Premier 2 cards. Mike Flanagan's got an ace. Shove it in, mate. Shove it in.
No.
Well, used to pass defenders like that, Mike. Give him a shimmy and a bit of a dummy.
If you shoved it in, he'd probably get callers anyway. So, just hoping for an ace. One's already gone.
9.
Everybody's missed.
7.
Mike Flanagan's still in front. He has come out betting from a worse position before. If he can identify
80.
His ace may still be good, which isn't easy. Just take a chance on it, stick it all in, and he's going to pick up a little pot here, possibly.
Pass.
On the back fence are not interested, so it comes to the showdown, and Mike is
got an ace, I don't know.
hot favourite. Favourite, I suppose. He's
he's got backdoor diamonds as well, as they say.
And ace 5.
Possibly 2 running diamonds would win him the pot as well.
3-1 on to win this hand. Well, he's reached the FA Cup final in his days with QPR. It doesn't look as though it is going to be his final hand.
10's now held Matty Lockwood as well.
Jack 10, king. No good.
In between.
Here comes the queen. All over stays alive.
It's going to pump him up just a fraction.
Thank you.
Gives him another round to be messing about with, but
what was you saying about someone winning at 80 quid left?
Yeah.
It was down to 140 quid. Back up to 340 with that hand.
I thought it was called the grinder. You're playing with 4 or 5, king jack, you're making bets. That's not a grinder.
Mixing up, I think.
Yeah. It's more mixing, isn't it?
He got burnt by the snowflakes in the finish out. I'm going to keep bringing it up to this on the
He's known as Flash in his playing career, Mike Flanagan. Make sure that.
That's to change your name, the grinder.
Time here on the table. £340 still an awful lot of work to do, but we have seen it done before. Think back to the presenter seat with Chris Kamara from an impossible position, came on and won.
But the difference possibly is Chris started to realise what he could achieve around the table by starting to raise. I don't think as yet Mike's identified the power of raising pre-flop.
20 to 12, call.
But he's got a bit of game play in him after the flop. He's betting out with bottom pair, things like that. Some nice hands here that could collide. Tony Cascarino won't like the call, but he might like to see a king on board. And then
10,
severely burnt.
7.
Both parties interested, but would like to check. Does Tony Cascarino have a go at it just to see where he stands?
Call.
Very quick called. He won't like that, although it's not the greatest call in the world. Starting to call 100 when you've only got 700 left can become expensive.
7.
Now the diamonds hit, and Tony Cascarino will think that possibly Andy Scott's got the diamonds.
There you go, check.
Yeah.
Both checked. 2.
And now I bet Andy Scott will win it. Can he bring it out of himself?
Well, check.
Check.
Well, I know what you got. Check.
Well, unfortunately, he's lost.
King jack.
King queen.
won't like that, Tony.
There's a bit of a call, wasn't it?
2000.
Oh, I'll do it for a gut shot straight.
Like that, didn't he?
That's what you need to discuss.
Yeah.
The pot without having to bet. Tony Cascarino's looking like
16
that's my money you've got there. That was my money. That diamond hurt him there.
Cascarino's lead still to the tune of £900. Mike Flanagan has survived the blinds going round, courtesy of that win. Spencer first to call.
Cool.
As ace, Lauren won't get involved with 9-6.
Cool.
Matty will though.
Call.
Pass.
Pass.
Cool.
Call.
No raise.
No raise.
It's a relatively passive table. As I said earlier, would very much suit Tony Cascarino. Oh, that looks quite nice for
7,
Tony Cascarino.
5, 8.
Not perfect, but nice.
Check.
16.
Up and down straight draw for him. 9 or a 4 is what he needs to hit.
Pass.
Cool.
Call.
Bordering on a semi-bluff. He's got part of the flop, but
Pass.
the 9 will be a hurtful card, as it will give Matty Lockwood an unseen nut straight.
3.
Check.
Check.
You're going to get a free
100.
card,
100.
and you're going to go for it, and that's a great bet, and probably enough to take down the pot. He's already suffered one beat.
Cool.
Call.
He's calling for the value, but the value's not as good as it would appear to him. Of course, he's in front, but he doesn't really know
9.
that, and that's the
All in.
killer 9.
Cool.
All in and a
Oh,
Oh, beautiful.
Oh,
Six.
no.
that's cruel.
Seven,
winning.
Jack, higher straight.
Big hand for Matt Lockwood. That was just the card that Tony didn't want
How
to
much
see,
are
the
there?
9 coming down.
250. Do you want to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first big hand of this,
Of the flop.
and it goes to Matty
The eye
Lockwood.
straight's coming out.
He's dead with that. He's really, I mean, he's got
An
space.
unseen.
Yeah, it's flush draw. Yeah.
Straight draw.
Yeah, on the 4.
2 overcards.
The first free.
4 is free. He's called.
Yeah, we call you.
Beautifully by Matty.
Yeah, good call. Good feeling.
We have
Well, you could see after the
610.
flop, Tony Cascarino must have loved what he's seen. We all thought it was a nice hand, but Matty Lockwood with those 2 overcards was in a beautiful position to call down and see what happened.
10.
The
I think that's it.
second
Do you
spade
want a
came along, and every reason to carry on.
Tony thought the 9 was enough, and it was for Matt. Well, he had nearly 2,000 at one stage. Matt went all in, and Tony was quick to call him. And now the lead has changed. Tony going to 2,260.
It's also the last hand at this level.
Finds himself down at
New blinds will be 50, £100.
The new
We're going to change our
leader.
dealer.
£600 advantage.
What's the next blind? Thank you very much.
50, 100. We're going
When is rivering a straight not a good thing? When the guy next to you hits a higher one. Tackled by Lockwood on Cascarino, and he's down injured.
And Matty Lockwood, not the type player that I thought he was, has been picked up by Tony Cascarino. He's been making a few moves, hasn't he? There's nothing wrong with that. It makes you harder to read in some ways. And he's got not getting much.
Pass. Pass. Pass.
King 9 suited for Lauren.
Cool.
Call.
On the button, King 9
An option.
could have raised himself.
You're the big blind. You're okay. You're already in. Yeah. Okay. So there's no raise then.
9 against 10-7. Matty Lockwood made up the small blind.
2 Jack. Queen.
As so often seems to
Check.
happen. Nobody hits
pass.
the flop.
Look, checks.
Jack.
Pass,
Check,
check,
fine.
same thing
Or check.
ish.
desperate to get a shot.
It's coming around so quick to me, that's what's happening.
Absolutely certain with his hand.
Oh, dear.
If a 10 comes down, then Lauren has hit his straight and Mike's got a pair.
100.
100 bet.
Has his pair with a 7.
You can get rid of him now if you want much.
Great play.
Betting out on a flush draw. Sorry, no apologies. I thought it was a flush draw. Betting out on nothing, absolutely nothing again. He's really getting busy. And that wasn't the best. The other one was forgivable.
Read that if you can.
But now he's betting into 2 people. I don't really know where he stands, but could have got through. Charvet's got a obvious fold. And now how does Matty go from here? He's not likely to get rid of Mike Flanagan, I feel. Mike Flanagan may not be raising, but I don't think he's going to throw away a hand.
4.
And Matty's hit a 4. Make it a big one, otherwise he's just not going to get rid of him. He's reaching for more money, but
250.
It could cost him.
250 bet.
I'll pass.
Pass.
You had
Pass.
7-4
Just
then.
enough
When you
money.
pulled the 7 for you, the 7 and then a 4.
Thought that he might have been buoyed by the confidence, having won big hand so long ago, and that he might have come back in, but it was enough for Matty Lockwood. And he's picked up some of the money that he lost to Mike on that earlier hand, and he's extended his lead again up to nearly £1,900 now.
That's why I took bet low to get rid of him.
Problem for Flanagan was there. He called the turn, which was a smaller amount. The card that came on the end couldn't possibly have made any difference to his 7. And so if he called on the turn, why didn't he call on the river? Or if he was going to fold on the river, why didn't he fold on the turn? That would be the question that would be asked. But it's early days in Mike's career as a poker player. And I'm sure after watching, when you watch yourself the first time, you realise how many mistakes you make and how you could have improved upon your play. Apart from sort of some soppy snooker player just ripping into you. Only out of enthusiasm, I will have at night when you're watching this back. I was a big fan. I used to come down the valley, mate. But you only learn by your mistakes at this game, and watching it, having the opportunity now to watch yourself against other players and what could have happened is the best learning curve you could possibly have.
And it's a learning curve not many people get, of course, as well.
No, you can't. You can play on the internet all you like, and that is the quickest way to really pick the game up in one respect. But it still doesn't show you how your hand is likely to be valued against the others, and how little times players hit the flop.
Check.
200.
200
Well,
bet.
Andy's hit the flop, and as you can see, a pair of 10s. Mike's reaching for the stack.
And he loves an ace.
200.
He's going to have to hit one now. Or 2 hearts.
200.
Probably not seeing anything. 10 of hearts.
1250.
Only a 5-to-1 chance in this hand. Less than that now.
Might put
Might
put the brakes on Andy Scott.
He's got them.
Oh, no, he's not.
I have got
90.
110. 110.
I thought someone was on ace king.
110 bet.
Cool.
And you called. Did you call it? Did you call it? Are you okay to call
Did you
that?
want to call Mike?
Yes, I'll play. Yeah,
Yeah, he did. He wanted to call you.
Right, turn the cards over.
Well, there's a percentage chance
Hey, you
he's
got 9s?
desperate for an ace.
I thought he had a...
Nothing else can help him.
I thought he had a king. I
Ten
mean,
jacks leading. You need to catch an ace.
13-to-1 shot here, Mike. Andy in very good shape. Big pot.
No, I should lose that first player.
8 of hearts, not what Mike wanted to see, but to his credit, he survived 49 hands of competitive poker, had some memorable moments along the way. Mike Flanagan's done himself proud, considering the rookie status that he came into this tournament
Cheers,
with.
good luck, Mike.
Sportingly goes round, shakes all the hands. Mike first to go, but with reputation enhanced as opposed to playing.
49 hands, longer than I lasted in my heat, I'm sure. And, round was a minute, and he lasted at least till half time. Added on to injuries.
Fancied you had
dangerous to be calling that
with
just the ace. And Scott was quite right in just putting him in for the rest of the money. No ace.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's the first tournament I've ever played in, and it's been such a long time since I've played. Quite a few things have changed.
Big hand for Andy Scott to see the end of Mike Flanagan, and as a result of that, Andy, who hasn't played too many hands at all, finds himself above Tony Cascarino in second place now, just £400 behind Matt Lockwood and showing a decent profit. It's Laurent Charvet who is now the short stack player around the table after the elimination of Mike.
Raise.
We're down to five-a-side now. Five-a-side. Not a bad five-a-side team. You've been a bit of commentary on some of the seniors. How do you think this five-a-side team would shape up?
Lacking a goalkeeper, that'd be the problem.
Raises
Put
250.
the oldest one in goal, wouldn't you?
350 and total.
The immobile Cascarino, I would imagine.
He did reach for his back. He said his back was just too much poker. His back was hurting him.
350 and total.
This could be a big hand. Big hand. Tony on a pair of nines.
Pass.
Matty ace king, and Andy Scott's got an ace which is passed very nicely.
250.
Yeah, classic confrontation in an all-in situation.
250 called.
Tony Cascarino going up against a big stack. There's not too much difference between the two, but it gives Matty Lockwood a bit of breathing space. Oh, gee whiz.
King ace.
Well, that will certainly stop Tony Cascarino in his tracks.
Check.
And if Matty Lockwood can just find a check, you never know.
200 bet.
He's really got to bet it out. There's just too many options out there.
Pass.
Didn't even bother.
Two pairs for Matt.
Hey.
Getting it all wrong from Tony Cascarino. How quickly the game can change. Matty Lockwood now goes above 2,000 to 2,280. He must be feeling very pleased with his day's work so far. Laurent Charvet down to 500. With the blinds at 50-100, it's getting quite desperate for him.
Pair of nines.
Cascarino running at a loss as well.
Yeah. Dead as a kipper with that flop. Ace king jack.
£900 against his name. Started with 1,000. Of course, they all did that. 6,000 for the winner.
No chance with that flop.
Also, a place in the final where 20 grand is up for grabs. First, second, and third get paid in that final as well. So, it is
raise.
the passport to relative riches. Maddie picks up another hand.
I raised 200 this time.
So far,
3 in total?
Yep.
300 in total.
Walking back to Southend hand, as it's known in
Pass.
Leighton Orient,
Pass.
hasn't hurt him. Sometimes ace king can be a hurtful hand, especially if you follow it through after not hitting the flop. Spencer Pryor. He's what's this? A roll call? Can't believe. I think he thought Matty was on the steal there. Matty Lockwood. I think the name of Locks. You see the hair gets involved in it. He's got his table locked up to some degree at the moment. He started to, I wouldn't say fear him, but respect what he's been doing. And they've mixed it up a bit, which is good. I don't think anybody really knows where they stand with him, which is always nice.
He's had a very couple of significant hands against Cascarino that he's won as well, which is probably the one person around the table he needs to be taking money off to get himself into a good position.
Pass.
350.
350.
Andy Scott's been very impressive as well. You know, he hasn't made any mistakes really along the line, and he's thrown away some marginal hands at the right moments. Expect him to be there in the mix as well. Spencer Pryor with king 2.
Charvet with ace queen. This is a big move from Cascarino, who's got nothing. He's playing 9-5 offsuit, £350.
Well, unfortunately, he's having to try and get busy, but if your timing's wrong, it's wrong, and he's taken some hurtful beats from being close on to 2,000.
250 more. 350 it should be.
The only thing you can say is
315.
he's given himself just about enough money.
So it's 250 more.
To have one significant bet left in him with the blinds at 50, 100.
Might pass for that extra 50.
Unfortunately for Tony Cascarino, he's 5'9", he's not even suited.
350 total. The blinds are 100, it's 250 more.
I think Charvet, is he considering going all in here?
Well, he's got to make a move.
Has he called? He's just called. What was he?
Well, you're against 2, Lauren.
Sorry?
You're against 2.
Can't help commentating even when he's,
double
when
your
he's not
money, 2 to 1.
commentating.
Do you have betting in France?
He's
like that.
He's trying to help him out here. I don't think he realises how good a hand Charvet's got.
Okay, go all in.
Going all in.
I think they all thought he was thinking about calling,
Gonna put in the
but
350
he was just working out whether it was the right thing to go all in, of course.
2, 350. Okay.
Might as well be. Which means that Tony Cascarino gets away from his hand.
Like a raise.
Leaves himself with about
Okay,
about 600 left. Oh, is he putting money in for the value?
60.
He has put the money in for the value, is he? Can't quite see there whether he has or not.
Yep, he has, and
put the money in Spencer as
Okay,
well.
this is the centre pot.
Well, this is a
Especially on
massive
the side,
hand that's
okay?
accrued here,
Don't turn
and
your cards over yet.
it obviously wasn't for that much money extra on top. What is it? It's got to be roughly 500 in the middle from each of them, so
Jack 6, 2.
they've all missed, which is perfect for
And check. Okay, all checked.
Laurent Charvet, and awful for Tony Cascarino.
8.
He's picked up a straight draw, an inside
Check.
straight draw.
And check. All checked.
Could a 7 get him out of trouble?
King.
It's the king, and Spencer Pryor wins it.
Check.
2 pairs,
Check.
kings and twos.
First.
And Lauren has
Ace, Queen.
And that's the end of Laurent.
King deuce.
Kings and twos. It's a wonderful hand for Spencer Pryor. Laurent Charvet hardly got the ammunition all the way around, was really struggling to get hands, didn't play too many, and even then when he's hit ace and queen, he's drawn by Spencer Pryor. He's got kings and twos, so Spencer's prospects are transformed.
Staying out of it.
That's again with the 5-a-side tournament. Lauren goes, and we're down to 4. Cascarino now in real trouble.
Well, it was Spencer Pryor that hit a little bit of the flop, but there was no more betting to be had. So he just took down the pot in the end quite nicely and moves up the ladder into second place. I would have thought Tony Cascarino was the most experienced, would have got himself so low.
Yeah.
Could be a change.
Well, those people that have backed Tony Cascarino licking their wounds after that brave play on 5-9, I would imagine.
Well, he was trying to generate some cash by picking up the blinds with that 5-9, but could argue that
pass.
Spencer with the king too was quite pretty reckless in calling, but it worked for him. And now Tony Cascarino has to find a little bit of patience 6, and wait for a good enough hand
and check, all checked.
to stick all his money in. There'll be another bet for Tony Cascarino now, that's for certain.
9. Check.
And he's
check, all checked.
In front, but he's got 4 overcards.
4. Check. And
check down.
Okay. Pair of 9. King.
3s, 9s.
9s and 3s.
It's enough for Andy.
Button stays.
He's made 50% on his initial £1,000 so far. Matt Lockwood has got a 500 quid lead with Spencer second at the moment.
Bit of 3 minutes, it's only about 30 seconds.
Side action going on between the late Orient lads.
And he's the youth team manager at the moment at Leyton Orient. He's best known, I suppose, for
you got one more hand at this level.
taken to Sheffield United. I think it was Dave Bassett that took him to Sheffield United from non-league football in the Surrey, South London area. Had a good career with Sheffield United, Brentford, Oxford and Orient.
Going all in.
Well, there's
340.
Tony Cascarino's move, all in. had to happen, but has he done it with a hand? And
340
has
is
anyone
all in.
against
And then he
him
calls
got a
us,
hand?
so I can
He's got a
treble
pair.
Oh, cool.
Cool. 340 in total.
Matty's cool. Oh, he's got a pair of 10.
It's been
treble me up.
It's been a mini nightmare for Tony Cascarino. Dearly love to see a 2 come on, and I think really Andy Scott should call.
340 called.
He really should call to try and knock out all that. Trouble is, it's just a lot of money.
And pass.
It's a tough one.
Okay, we've got an all in and a call.
Tony's got a pair of 2s.
Pocket deuces for Tony.
And Matt's got a pair of 10s.
Andy Scott had just a fraction more money he could have considered calling, but he's trying to conserve
The 2's coming out
the 1,500 he's got, and now
That's a lot of kings died since I've done one of them.
Up to a 2.
Yeah.
Seven.
The ace.
Now help to Tony.
Love to have seen that if he'd have been live in the pot.
It's an 8.
Well,
Can't do a gas.
only a 2.
He's
He's going to save
On the
Tony
river.
Cascarino. Next to no chance.
Straight.
It's a jack that comes out. A jack straight landed by Matt Lockwood, and Tony Cascarino,
There, all the best, mate.
the big favourite coming in
Yes, it's my
to
great.
the footballers' heat.
See ya.
Good night, thank
It's
you.
the 3rd to go. Big surprise. Cascarino goes, and he went on this hand. Had to go all in with any kind of hand. Pair of deuces was enough for him, but Matt Lockwood had 10s. Nothing came down on the board for Tony. Matt ended up looking straight to add insult. Bye-bye, Tony Cascarino.
I got outdrawn by Matt on a couple of hands. He made a raise with ace king. I had a pair of 9s. I didn't re-raise him back. I wanted to see the flop, and it come ace king jack. And now I'm dead in the water. He comes out betting. Put that down, and then finally I get a pair of deuces with not much cash. Put it all in, and he's got a pair of 10s. So really, my game was destroyed by Matt.
Welcome back. A lot on the line. The winner of each sporting heat will meet in the grand final and play for a top prize of £20,000 and the title of partypoker.net Sports Stars Challenge Champion.
3 and in for our footballers. 3
better
people in. One of them gets paid £6,000.
Oh, they've both got the straight.
Yeah, the high top straight.
Even by their standards, that would be a good afternoon of work.
Flop though, didn't he?
He was trying something out.
You weren't dealing with
Blinds have gone up. £150 now, the big blind. But Andy Scott, who's in 3rd place, still has getting on for 10 times that amount. So the blinds aren't really going to come into play and be too damaging at the moment. Matty Lockwood's the leader. Nearly 1,000 clear of Spencer in 2nd.
Had a good event so far here, Matty. Things have always gone his way, and he's been pretty accurate in his betting. Spencer Pryor, perhaps a little conservative, has called a few times with not prime cards. It came to his benefit on the last hand. I'm very impressed with Andy Scott as well. So of the 3, although it's so hard to predict, and having seen those 2 queens, should have kept my mouth shut. Of the 3, I fancy it could be going Leighton Orient's way, but let's see what happens now.
We've had 3 players eliminated in the space of 5 hands. Unless 2 players hit monsters, can't see us having a single player eliminated in the next 5 or 10.
Cool.
Spencer Pryor raises, and it was a small raise to 200, so for the value, the pot odds, Matty Lockwood considers it's worthwhile seeing what the flop can deliver.
9, jack.
Hasn't delivered anything for him. It's not helped Spencer in terms of those queens, but there are no overcards, and he's got the inside gut shot as well if he gets a 10. Raises on the strength of that. What's Matty going to do now? Throw it away, I would imagine.
What are you thinking about? Does he not believe him? I don't think there was ever a question, but You always wonder when you're watching whether somebody's just an inspirational brainwave. If they come over the top of a player, that it's just going to work. It wouldn't necessarily be the right thing to do there.
Yeah. Queen 10.
Pass. 80 to call.
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 Check.
No raise.
And here's a difference. Just a call from Spencer Pryor, which allows Matthew Lockwood in with his rubbish that he would have folded otherwise.
Queen, 6, Jack.
Attractive looking flop for Spencer Pryor now.
Check.
Apart from the fact there's 2 overcards, Matty is continuing to fire on nearly all cylinders here.
200.
200.
Well, Spencer knows that a king or an 8 is a big card for him, and as a result, he's going to call Matt's raise.
If Matt knew what he was calling with, he'd fire again after this turn card, should it not be a scare card.
Jack.
But now,
Check.
a different story.
Both checked.
And that's going to be very difficult for Matthew Lockwood now to
6.
get Spencer off the pot. Amazingly, the best hand
Check.
out there is the board.
Yep.
Unbelievably.
Matt has been bailed out by that 6 because it's
amazing.
going to be a split pot, and he would have almost certainly got his fingers burnt.
It's just quite amazing sometimes how the cards go. And I'm not too sure now that it's a great bet by Matthew Lockwood. You've got to say it's brave betting, especially with 3 spades out there from the original call. And it's enough to get Spencer Pryor off a split pot.
Good poker by Matt Lockwood, who with 3 of spades and the 7 of diamonds wins a significant pot.
Poker faced over the 3,000 mark.
I charge the boy.
Best player to find himself with more than 50% of the cash in front of him.
You are.
Without taking sides of a Lake Norman player, I'd say he deserves to win it. He's been, I think, the most original player around the table we've seen, the most varied. Still plenty of gameplay left though. That's a nice hand. Worth a raise, not a call.
Call.
Call. 150.
You call, you allow 2 people in
Call.
with hands, with poker hands, possibly overcards to your own pair of
Call.
6s.
No raise.
Negated somewhat by 2 8s there, but any 9s, any 8s, and Spencer's in trouble. And it's guaranteed to be higher cards than the 6, so where are you now?
Ace.
Unless you decide to have a
King.
bluff at it.
Jack. Check. Check.
Check.
All checked. Queen. Check. Check.
Well, looks like Spencer's going to win with a pair of 6s
All
here.
checked.
No one tried to represent the 10.
2.
Spencer's 6s are good enough.
Andy Scott might be having a go. You've got to get busy to win at this game. Can he bring a bet out? He can't,
Check.
can he? He can't.
Check.
Play
I've
hands.
got a 9.
6 is good enough for Spencer.
Pair of 6s.
A funny pot, that one.
Okay,
A funny
6s.
hand, really. When it came down Ace, King, Queen, Jack, just wondering whether Spencer, having initially checked it, might have thought, well, yeah, I'll pretend I got a 10 and something and put a big bet in. Easy to say from here when you can see what all 3 have got in their hands.
Oh, it's so easy. That's the problem with it. It's so easy to sit here and say a player's not brave enough. Or, you know, he's not
I was just hoping a 10
playing aggressively enough to win.
Yeah.
There, and it's a different story. You've only got your own cards to see. You haven't got a clue what the other's going. You're always wary that somebody's trying to trap you. And sometimes just to push that money over that white line is so difficult. Especially if you hadn't had the experience of it happening. When you've played a few times, you start to loosen up a bit. You don't worry so much about, you know that you're allowed to make moves and you don't worry about the consequences as much. When you haven't played much, everything's a big decision.
Raise.
Raise.
Randy's raising with 410.
300 more, 450 total.
From the small blind.
Trying to steal Spencer's big blind and has done it very successfully with nothing.
Yes, and he needed to get a little busy. He was falling slightly low, although obviously there's not so much to play with with Matty Lockwood having half of the money in play.
This is hand number 64 now. And still Matt has got a decent advantage, and still no one really short stacked in the context of the blinds at the size they are, 70 and 150.
Not worth throwing away, certainly worth calling at the very least.
Call.
Raise.
Raise.
Ah, now all of a sudden, starting to admire Spencer for just moving up a couple of
150
gears
more,
here.
3 total.
Nice sense that his opponent can't have that two
150
good
to call.
cards because he didn't raise.
Cool.
Call.
Well,
Has got 2 live cards.
yeah, nothing wrong with the call, although he wasn't really aware of what he was up to,
5,
but
3,
up with
ace.
against.
Check. Spencer's hit middle pair.
Spencer should like this. I mean, he can represent the ace and a raise and win the pot here and there. There's no way that. And you can do anything about that. Yeah, a bit of money invested there, Andy Scott. He's down to 1,000 or just below now. And with the blinds, a significant amount of money. We've moved up at that blind level. 220 around, isn't it? I think
that's right. Yeah.
He's only got 5 times, just under the big blind. 4.5 times the big blind. It's getting to the stage where it's got to be big raises, and considering an all-in bet.
Pass. Pass.
Matt picks up the small blind, not even having to look at his cards.
Andy Scott is about to become the big blind.
Oh, that wasn't even worth looking at.
Exactly where he stands, and you'll realise now that
gone all cagey.
We've all gone all cagey.
That just nonsense.
It's going to lead him with about 800. How quickly the blinds can change the equation of the game from you feeling quite comfortable around the table to being on the precipice.
Pass.
Raise.
Raise.
Nice timing to raise and nice timing to get an ace.
$200, is it? 50.
250.
250 more.
Really leaning on Andy on the big blind. These are the kind of hands that he's got to do something with, and he's with Jack 7 doesn't fancy it against the big raise, and so he's lost his big blind in that round of betting. And you can see the frustration as he posts the small blind. He doesn't know whether it's been done or not by Matt Lockwood, but he didn't take the chance.
Ours is anyway.
Mine
especially.
In the big blind.
Physio's going to run it now, isn't he?
He can try.
Should he consider the possibility of raising to keep the pressure, not so much on Spencer, but to keep the pressure on Andy Scott to stop Andy making a move? It really does start to send the alarm bells through. Yeah, perfect timing to raise. Andy Scott's going to have a big hand to call a raise or to go over the top.
350 in total.
Then all of a sudden he's got only another hand before it's his big blind again.
Apart from raise.
Oh, King 6 looks horrible as well now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know.
Or is it worthwhile?
Bitter and twisted.
If only he knew what he had.
Pass.
Chucks them again. That's another blind match thrown him off.
Not so much of a problem for Spencer Pry. He's got no problems, and doesn't really matter as long as both players get away from this pot. What happens now? They're both looking really at getting rid of Andy Scott for the moment, or should be.
No.
Pass.
A little bit of acting there. I don't think there's ever any doubt.
You stop showing your aces and everything now.
Can't show him when you ain't got them.
And anything.
What's that?
Anything.
Yeah, nice little hand that.
Ish.
Well, little was correct. Well, they were nice and little, but yeah, nothing wrong with that.
I know you need to be aggressive and you need to bluff at pots when the time's right, but you need to be patient and sit there and wait for hands. And there's no point just going recklessly if other people have got hands, because you'll get beaten quite easy. And I think that's probably one of my good points out of my personality. I mean, the lads on the coach call me the grinder because I just sit there and just grind them down. But I think that's probably because they think I'm boring.
Andy Scott's in the big blind with 760. In a way, he's more or less obligated to raise, stiff it all in. But if they don't look nice, still tough to get that money over the line. What's he got? Desperately trying to find something. That could be it. Might as well be it. Nothing wrong with putting it all in with that. Oh! Well, perhaps it was the right thing.
Cool.
Might work out all right for him, but it's another big blind that he's...
Spencer calling with the ace-9. He's not going to get involved, and possibly rightly not getting involved with the big stack, but at some stage you've got to make a move in the game. It's come down very nice for him.
9.
Oh, look at that for Matty.
It's come down so nice for him. And then Spencer's going to get himself burned here. If he'd have raised, he wouldn't have had the problem. How often do we see that? It's just so...
300.
300.
Much of a demonstration of the power of raising, limiting your field.
Well, he's on top pair.
Does he call? Does he just call? He didn't do it last time when he hit trips.
Cool.
Cool.
Nicely done. He went over the top last time with about 200, didn't he?
Yeah, it was earlier in the game. I mean, it's getting to the stage now where you probably you don't believe your opponent's got anything, but a different opponent. Andy, out of the pot. You're quite pleased to be out of this pot all of a sudden.
6. Check.
Spencer checks top pair.
Both check.
And he checks as well. Clever play. Obviously he's giving himself a chance to hit a 9.
That'll just worry him a little.
Spencer's going to have to
too much though.
Now the raise, and can he get away from the raise?
All in.
Raised all in.
That's a raise. He might be able to get away from that.
Cool.
Cool. Oh,
Oh, Spencer Pryor's going.
Threes.
And now he sees the trip threes, and that's the end of Spencer
mate.
Pryor.
Well done.
2 Orient players left.
Cheers, mate.
As the Orient player survives Spencer Pryor's hopes.
Fun, wasn't it?
Won't go to the Orient, they go west.
Oh, dear.
Whoa, against the boys from the O's. Spencer Pryor is out, and Matt Lockwood is now red hot favourite to make it through to the final. Spencer Pryor's last hand looked like this. Had the ace, Matt Lockwood landed the trip threes on the flop. Played it very cleverly, slow played it really. Just the call, sucked Spencer in when he went all in. Spencer thought his ace might be good enough. It wasn't, and Spencer's out.
Try to play it a little bit tight when possible, but at some point I've just, I'm passing on a lot, and then I just think I'm going to get involved. So managed to get involved. Shouldn't really have taken Laurent out. I had no right being in that hand, to be honest. But I'm just pleased to have finished where I did. Really, it'd be nice to have gone on and won it, but I think Matty plays a little bit more than I do, so he'll probably go on and win it now.
Tony Cascarino was the favourite for this heat. He's used to mixing it up with the poker pros, but he's gone. Former Man City defender Spencer Pryor's out, and we're down to 2 teammates kicking off for £6,000 after the break.
Leighton Orient's left back in the poker den. Matt Lockwood against Andy Scott, one of the Leighton Orient coaching staff. So it's a family affair, really. But a real disparity between the amounts of money that they bring into this heads up. Matt, £5,250, 7 times what Andy Scott has got. He's won twice as many hands, he's bet more often, a much, much bigger pot win. And he's never been down below £830.
Small blind and big blind change for the heads-up situation with the the dealer being the small
We
blind.
did it the other way around, didn't we? When we played before.
Yeah.
Not too sure when that was
Small
brought
blind
in.
is always on the button.
History
Yeah,
of Texas
that's
Hold'em. But it's
You call them games on the coach void.
to stop
Yeah,
the dealer
yeah.
giving
Yeah.
too much
Get all your money
advantage,
back.
as
Yeah.
he would have position as well after the flop.
Cool.
So,
Hand your option.
Check.
No raise.
jacks are out. It's not a problem. Matty not in the best position. There's plenty of a storyline to follow.
6-3, ace. And it's to your man.
250.
Matty coming out betting. with
250 bet.
very little prospect of him having an ace, but there's not really anything that Andy can do
Pass.
about that. Big amounts of money now going in. It's 200 of Andy Scott's 600 going in now. He could be very close to the end if he doesn't pick up some cards. He's more or less obligated to go all in here. He can't really. He could laugh one more before he puts his money in. It just gives Matty Lockwood more encouragement to call. This could be the only, it could be the last
do that
time
yet.
he can effectively use any money he's got in front of him as leverage to get Matty off a pot, and even that is debatable.
King 7 for Matt.
Raise.
Raise.
Quick to raise. And he's got a hand though.
250 more.
Raise is 250 more.
All in.
Going all in.
How much?
No brainer.
What have you got?
Was that 250?
Not a lot.
250.
150.
Oh, I think I'm
The
gonna
extra.
call that one.
An all in for 150.
I haven't got
That's a
one.
call.
Pot size.
Call. Matt shows
Be nice.
King 7. Andy shows
For Andy to
Ace
pick up.
6.
And he's got hearts in his favour
Andy's
as
in
well.
front at the moment.
Two middle cards to the ace and the lower kicker. I mean, it's not that bad a spot for the lower
Hey,
H2.
numbers.
And an ace.
Not so good now, though. Perhaps he's down to about
help from
1%.
Matt.
I think. Yeah, yes, yeah, okay, I got it right. 1%.
Green.
Yep, and I make
And it takes down a nice pot and make him feel happier.
Andy doubles up.
It's just to
Gives
rub
a
it in.
flush.
Ace flush.
One back.
Thank you very much. So that takes him up to £1,200 and a smile of relief. 1,200 constitutes 20% of the total pot, but it's bought him a little bit of time in terms of the blinds. Not much, it has to be said, but just a little bit of breathing space.
Matty to speak. Calls from the
Call.
small blind. What would a raise do now?
No raise.
First bet could win it here if they both miss.
10-7.
Well, the 7's
Queen.
come down for Andy. It's the
Check.
low pair.
He's checked. Matt immediately
250.
reached for his
250 bet.
stack as he's been doing all day long, really. Hasn't flinched in his responsibility to come out betting when he's seen somebody showing weakness. Two cards over the 7, which could be
Cool.
scary for
350 call.
Andy Scott, but he decides to take the chance. And now let's see if Matt can fire again. It could be the only way he's going to win the pot.
Jack.
It's a scary board, and it's
All in.
given
Going all
Andy
in.
more encouragement. He's gone all in
how much?
on a draw and lot top bottom pair. Asking for a call down of an amount of money with what looks like impossible cards.
1,000.
Bag of.
Bag of.
Too much money.
I got a bag of here. Bag of
Pass.
rubbish. Play, mate.
Another big hand for Andy Scott's doing well. Almost up to 2,000 now, having been down, as you can see, at £600. That lowest cash level of £600 was right at the start of this heads up, so it's been a quick transformation for him.
Well, you've got to admire the way he's come back. He's not just come back by hitting good cards. He's been brave enough to bet with less than the best.
I'll get there in the end.
Yeah.
Might be very quick.
I'll bet they're looking forward to those pre-season runs.
Cool.
Cool. And option. No raise.
The winner of this event picks up a nice £26,000 bonus. Be fun to walk out at the start of next season with a big wad in one pocket, running past your teammates. Sorry lads, I can't run as fast as I normally do.
Check, all checked.
It's a type of pot that's worth having a little stab at. But Matty's slowed up somewhat now.
And he's getting the cards when he needs them. He's hit that 9. Slow played, and now I'll come in.
200.
200 bet.
Raise.
Raise.
Well, here's a move. One of very few we've seen all day. And it's a fascinating move that really would be very difficult to be called.
Raise is 400.
Really not the biggest raise in the world. But Andy Scott, we've seen lay down a few hands. He's not a novice at the game at all. He must respect this raise. He must respect it.
Pass.
Good poker from Matt Lockwood.
And when they watch this on the highlights, the playback. He's desperate to ask him what he had. Look, what do you have? Go and ask it. Just ask him outright.
He'd tell you as well that he bluffed you.
Didn't know. She slow played that very well.
Yeah, I know.
Told you.
And so I wasn't panicking when I raised you 400.
Oh, it's just too much. You just can't do it.
The jack killed me.
Oh, so it was the jack, was it? He had a jack on the river, did he?
Cool.
Cool. And option.
Raise.
Raise.
He's going to raise again, Matt, because he's got King Jack.
And the tide goes out
4.
the other direction.
400 more.
Momentum beginning to swing back Matt's way. I think whoever wins this will fancy their chances in next week's final as well. It's got Austin Healy, Peter Manley, most of the players up against him. Phil Toffler there as well.
Yeah, there's a good mix of players. Peter Manley was in excellent form. I like the way he played. Obviously, Matthew Stevens knows a bit about poker. Austin Healy's a bit of a loose cannon, but seemed to have a very good feel after the flop.
Cool.
Didn't see all the heats. Phil Toffler was playing on inspiration, I believe, by the end.
Brian Whittle was
9 king, queen.
a very, very quick learner as well, honing his skills as the hands went on. The former 400-metre runner.
400 bet.
Now Andy City's kings, you can see top pair, Matt, completely disinterested.
In the first of this series of events, we had a presenters event that was no part of the sportsman's heat, but won by Chris Kamara, who I think will probably, if he's watching now, would dearly love to be here on the football table, having smelt blood, and would love to be in the main event, perhaps next year. He can't wait.
Absolutely. It was as if at one stage during that, someone switched a light bulb on above his head, and he moved up through the gear so rapidly and just bludgeoned his way through.
And he's got raising with a king. At some stage there's going to be two hands that collide at 400 some level.
This is 400 more.
They look attractive, don't they? Matty's got the money to play about with a bit more than Andy Scott, and knows he could break him if he hits his hand.
All in.
As you can see.
Going all in.
Wow.
What?
It may not be the worst time to do it as well. Two reasons for that. Firstly, there's a chance that his opponent was on a bluff and you would lay the hand down there and now. Secondly, if he does put his money in, he's going to have a fighting chance as Matthew Lockwood. His been an excellent game of poker between two accomplished players. It's an interesting situation Andy Scott finds himself in. Has he just got about enough money to throw it away? If he knew the situation, he wouldn't. He'd be in like a shot.
Pass.
Clever play by Matty again, and all of a sudden the lead that he had at the beginning of Heads Up has been re-established. He's now 4.5 grand clear, 5,250, and Andy down to his last 750. All that hard work that he'd done to accrue a few more pounds and see the gap diminish as one gone.
No, I want to go out of Blaze Glory.
So much is down to the aggression that if you can keep it up, you can sometimes steamroll your opponent, but trying to keep it up is so hard when you look down at your cards and they're just not what you've been seeing.
Cool. Check.
The race.
You wonder whether it's not the right thing to keep on going all in. And even if you do run into a monster hand, well, you can always outdraw. It's just the top players don't do it like that, but sometimes when you're watching on the television.
H10, 6.
Horrible looking flop for both, especially as they've got all black cards. Will he take a stab at this?
Check, or check.
Too dangerous.
2. Check. A check, or check.
4's nice card for Andy.
6.
It'd be a nice hand
check
for Matty Lockwood to pick up without any damage. And there's only one way that Andy Scott's going to win it.
Does he dare go all in here?
The longer he thinks for, the longer it becomes obvious that he doesn't really want to do it. Not to say that Matty Lockwood's going to look at it that way. You're going to try and nick it with a little bet.
All in.
Okay, all in.
How much?
Okay, fairly little.
600.
600. You're down already.
Oh, this would be a great call, wouldn't it?
Up again.
600.
What a call this would be.
Makes the right decision here, he's won.
No.
Pass.
Unlucky, Matt. King high was good enough with the pair of 6s, but couldn't take the risk.
Love it.
I wonder if he knows just how close he was to elimination.
Yeah,
He
the
almost
rubbish
certainly
went out.
does.
I didn't think you had a lot, but I thought you must have had me beat.
I think if I check, I lose the pot anyway. Don't I?
Yeah, I
So
think so,
got-
With that hand
Took a
victory,
great game, didn't we?
What's that?
Andy's still
Took
got
a
less than
great game.
1,000.
I wonder if the great Stu Unger, who was a marvellous reader of the situations, would have called that.
No race.
A player that seemed to have a sixth sense about when somebody was bluffing, when what looked like weak cards were still in
Jack.
front.
6. Check.
One of the greatest players of all
200.
time, wasn't he, Stu Unger? Sadly no longer with us.
Not really a decision, I don't think, for Andy
Cool.
Scott.
Call 2.
Okay, all out on the limb in some respects. It's a funny old call in some ways, though.
6.
I suppose he's setting
Check.
really a bluff in him left, that's the trouble.
400 bad.
And now the all-in would probably have to be called anyway, so he's desperate to see a 4. He's tied himself in. Can he get away from it for the rest of his money? He doesn't have much left. He shouldn't really have called, I don't think. How much has he got? There's a little counter. Might be one all in too far.
Pass.
So yeah, 6 then, the way you were counting them out.
No, it's a good put down, that. Only a 4 would have saved him had he gone all in and given
Should be.
the straight, but he couldn't take the risk.
Should be.
That's the situation at the moment.
It's the longest I've sat on the table playing cards. and
Sizable
not lost.
advantage for Matt Lockwood. It's been there or thereabouts for most of the heads up. Give or take a few hundred either way. And he did get up towards 2,000 at one stage, but found himself entrenched around this £1,000 level now. Still needing luck. Matt Lockwood just cannot kill him off.
With the blinds going up to the next level, effectively the stacks are lessened, which means that Andy Scott is closer to the precipice. He's only got just over 3 times the big blind. He's back in the all-in scenario. Oh, what a time to get that. What a time. That may be that's the only time you can perhaps slow play something, when you've got a monster.
Call him.
Well, he's an ace.
Call.
There's an ace to save him.
Okay, we have ace 9.
Right, they're doubling up a pair of queens.
Oh, beautiful.
And he shows
See the beauty of it. It's always nice to be able to
match shows ace
the
9.
situation. Big swing out here. 3 cards in the pack help Matty Lockwood.
It's 8 there, yeah.
And you can see that
1100 total.
that's
So
the
you need
odds
to put 8 in.
on hitting an ace in 5 cards, roughly. Obviously, a queen on there would negate that, but
Come on, lucky ladies.
28% chance.
So it's a 7-2 shot here, Matt. Five to 2 shot, sorry.
That's no help
Matt's
for
just
Matt.
letting me down. He's much longer than that now.
Possible straight.
Oh, how's your luck? Unbelievable. And now Andy's in real bother. Has to hit a queen.
You're lucky.
Only
lucky.
2 left. Diamonds or hearts. And it's another ace.
Well done, mate.
Andy Scott unlucky. Matt Lockwood draws just when he needs it. An ace on the turn and then 1 on the river as well.
Well dealt.
Matt Lockwood is the winner. Andy Scott pays the penalty. So unlucky though to make way. Matt Lockwood through to next week's final.
A classic match, and it's Matt Lucky Lockwood taking the last spot on the final table. Let's hear from him and runner-up Andy Scott.
To be honest, if I was going to go up heads up against someone, it had to be Lockie, obviously. We've had our duels in the past, and sometimes I just don't get that luck.
When we got here, and Scotty, I see he was playing as well, I said to him it'd be perfect if we could get each other sort of heads up. And I mean, we've had games before, like when he was a player at Orient, and you know, we've been on away trips and stuff. We've had some battles on the coach, and I mean, back then we were only playing for a $5 each, so it wasn't as important, but it was good. I mean, Scotty's a good player. I mean, when he first came to Orient, he was, you know, miles better than I was, and he's taught us a thing or two now, so I can take that back and throw it back in his face.
So that's it. The seats are filled for our final table with representatives from 6 different sports. They'll have the chance of taking a piece out of a £35,000 prize pool, with 20 of that going to the table winner. Join us next week for that match on the partypoker.net Sports Stars Challenge.